Hi everyone, I'm Smartball. I'm running Super Mario Advance 2, Super Mario World for the Game Boy Advance. Yeah, like I said, it's Super Mario World for the Game Boy Advance. It's has a few differences. One of the major differences is that Mario and Luigi have different physics, vastly different, and the screen size is quite a bit smaller. So we're gonna do No Star World for Luigi. I find Luigi runs to be a lot more interesting than Mario runs in this game. Mario runs tend to be more the same of what you see in the Super Nintendo, but with less glitches. It's not very heavily glitched, but it should still provide a more entertaining speedrun than some of the Mario tech in this game. So when I get the go-ahead, I will get started. Yes, there are certainly less buttons. You only have one hold/run button. But okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started here. In 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, the color palette is definitely quite different. Alright, so first thing we're going to do, we're going to switch to Luigi using the R button, and then we'll get started here. Luigi is incredibly floaty, as he is in Super Mario 2 US. We're actually going to grab Yoshi here, just to eliminate that floatiness, and increase his run speed, more importantly. When you're on Yoshi, you have Mario's run speed. And so, you actually gain the time back from grabbing Yoshi before this level's even over. Now, the next level up here is usually the first hard, quote-unquote, hard trick. Hopefully I don't mess it up here. It's just this box jump right there. It's always a nervous area. But because of the aspect ratio being quite a bit smaller, it makes the camera a lot more zoomed in. And some of these tricks are a little different in this game, especially in castles, but even so in the overworld. A couple of things I've shown off here so far are, first of all, with Luigi, if you eat an item, you hold it in your mouth for a little bit, even if it's not a Koopa shell. Normally with Mario, you just go ahead and swallow that item. But with Luigi, you hold on to it, you can use it as a weapon, or you'll just swallow it in a few seconds. Now, another thing is, as you saw in the previous level, if you drop Yoshi after the gold tape in this game, you will remount him. I'll do it again here. I just do that for fun. So we're going to be coming up on our first castle. Now this castle's not too different. It's probably the most similar to the normal Mario strat. The only difference is here on how floaty you are and, unfortunately, how slow you are. So we are going to just ease our way through the first room here and come up on our first auto scroll. You're actually able to easily clear that jump, whereas Mario cannot. Mario comes kind of close, but Luigi, it's not close at all. You blow right by it. So we're gonna grab fire here. We're actually not gonna use the fire flower on Iggy though, like we normally do. Oh, another thing to note with SMA2 is this last crusher here. It has a chance to crush you. Its position is kind of random. And unfortunately, I had some bad luck there. It is possible to avoid getting crushed there. The door is able to be entered at the very last moment before you get crushed, but I'm only estimating, but it's got to be a frame or two. of a window. So we are going to grab our first cape. Luigi's flight speed is identical to Mario's, his top flight speed anyways. However, the way in which his flight speed oscillates is much different. So we're going to just try and get fast flying, make all that irrelevant. And I think, yeah, we got it right off the bat. So we're at our optimal flight speed. We still need to re-grab a fire flower for some of the fire kills we have coming up here. I love the voiceovers in this game. And we gotta make sure we hang on to this cape throughout the rest of the run. Now here's where Mario and Luigi are essentially the same. It's in water. The only difference is we are not going to visit the dry room to save a second or so because of Luigi's much slower running speed. I was told, I forget who it was, it might have been Mario or Louie that said they think they could still save time with Luigi in there. I personally cannot. I forgot to switch back to my cape. So we're just gonna swim right under this structure here, and we will be able to end the level. Now you actually have to let go of that P-switch there at the end. In normal SMW, if you're in the water and you carry an item over the gold tape, it's almost impossible to grab that item. But if you're too low on the screen, it'll actually fall back down in this game, which it does not do in normal SMW. So we have our first ghost house. It's very straightforward. I mean, for a speedrun, it's very straightforward. In casual play, you might get a little bit lost in there, but I'm sure most of you have seen it before. Most of the differences in this game, though, are one, the aspect ratio, which makes the sizing of certain rooms and areas a lot different. They tend to be a lot shorter, like vertically. And that, especially in castles, makes for some interesting strategies that you have to pull off. Morton's Castle in particular has some very tough strategies that hopefully I can pull off for you, but they are, in my it makes Morton Room 2 one of the hardest in the game to get the optimal strategy, and I'm probably going to miss it by one cycle, but I'm going to do my best. Another thing here, another difference is that we didn't get good flight speed. There's no ceiling above the screen on most levels, so I'm continuously pumping my cape up in order to try and avoid these Galoombas. I don't want to go too high because I could fly right over the goalpost here. I'm actually surprised I hit it from up as high as I was. But the Paragaloombas will knock you right out of the sky if you're near the horizon of the screen. Slightly different strat than the Mario 2. I'm going to focus a little bit here. Hopefully I can show off some cool tech. I'm going to squeeze right through there. Use the springboard right there instead of up at the top. That's a very difficult cycle to make. I rarely even make it in practice. Another notable difference is Luigi's fireballs are vastly different. They bounce a lot higher, which make the boss fights a little different, but very... I figured them out for the most part. It usually just involves running like half a tile before shooting instead of shooting and then running at them. Okay, so that's 2 castles down. I'm actually on a pretty good pace now that I actually got that strat. I missed the cycle there in the world record of this run. So that's quite nice. We're going to be entering Vanilla Dome now, though. We're going to take the top route, straight over to Ludwig's castle, skipping castle 3. We just got to make sure we don't lose our cape. Or, even more importantly right now, the fire flower. Because after this level here... Darn it. After this level here, there's not another fire flower we could get for quite a while. That's conveniently placed anyways. So I messed up that strat a little bit. I'm supposed to get up there out of exiting those yellow donut blocks, but I had to loop back around because I ran into the fire flower block. Lost our cape there. But there's one right here, so we're still in okay shape. Minor setbacks, minor setbacks. I will never understand these green bean stalks, or whatever they are, that spring you up there. Yeah, the color does look very washed out in this version. And yes, Luigi did drop kick a castle to the ground. He's that strong. Okay, so onto the top area here. We kind of missed our flight there. Oh boy, we are not doing well here. There we go. With Luigi's slower run speed, he actually takes the same amount of distance to get P speed to... Oh, got hit by a bomb there. He actually takes the same amount of distance to take off as Mario. However, due to some of the fact that he runs slower, if there's ever an enemy in front of you while you're trying to take off, the timing is much different because the enemy will get closer to you than it would with Mario. So we have our second flyover here in a row, unfortunately. This is kind of like the lull in the run up here on this top area. You have a couple flyovers, a water fortress, an auto-scroller, a flyover, and then another heart castle. So we're gonna hopefully be okay until the castle. There is a very good chance I lose my cape to Reznor, but that's okay. So now we have our water fortress here. We're just gonna swim through these ball and chains and bonefish and fire first Reznor. Ease our way through the water here. We'll dodge that thwomp just to make sure we don't lose our cape early. We don't want to do that. But I almost expect to lose my cape during the Reznor fight here. With how compact everything is, normally at the Super Mario World version, or the Super Nintendo version of this, we edge our way through, or we jump our way through that ring. But in this, it's very not feasible. I found a strat that does it. It loses your cape anyways, and it is faster, but you usually die. Okay, so now the only thing more boring than water is an auto-scroller. We got a nice long one for you here. I do need to re-grab my cape in this level, though. So it's not trivial yet. You just have to make sure we focus and don't die. Which becomes particularly nerve-wracking when we don't have the red switch palace, but yeah, we're through it. Ah, we didn't get 10. If you get 10 or more lives, you trigger like a little dialogue where Luigi celebrates and a banner flies across the screen saying, hey, you know, you got this many lives in that string. So we are going to go ahead and grab our cape back, keep the fire flower back in reserve, and we are back on track as far as power-ups go. Almost done here. Almost done. Just gotta go through the last little string of Koopas and through the pipe. You can actually enter the pipes a lot earlier in this than you could in the Super Nintendo version. They barely even have to be on screen for you to enter them. Okay. Now this first Super Koopa, he has two different heights he could spawn at, so I just go ahead and jump over him. One height is very easy to deal with, you just spin him away and he dies, and the other you have to duck under him, and the difference between them is very subtle. It's very hard to determine before you need to act. Alright, so we are going to finish up this level. Now we're on to a harder castle. Room 2 in this castle in particular is pretty interesting with Luigi. I promised myself I would not be too aggressive with this strat right here. So I'm going to wait on that ball and chain. Excuse me. So I'm just going to go ahead and play it safe there. Let's see if we could get this. Nope, we did not. You need to pull off a one-frame trick to fly through this room with Luigi properly. It's called the duck fly. You have to press down and jump with P speed on the same frame. It's my success rate on it's pretty good. I'm a little disappointed I didn't get it there. Climb this. Okay, we lost our fire flower, which would make Ludwig a lot longer. So we're gonna go ahead and re-grab it over here. I dislike this cage very much. I always have. So, like I said, Luigi's fireballs bounce very high, and Luigi's run speed is very slow. That fight's actually pretty not trivial. It's, with how slow everything is, he'll often block your fireballs with his fireball. Even while it's, like, forming in his mouth, he can block your fireballs with his. I found a pretty consistent strat to get him, though. Sorry, a little scratch in my throat right now. So we're coming up on the Forest of Illusion. It's about the halfway point of the run right now. As I said, because of Luigi's slow run speed, we can't take off before this Wiggler, so we have to jump to this platform to try and take off and fail. Oh boy. Well, I guess we're just running through the whole level instead of flying. There we are. Sorry about that. It's better to just keep going forward, usually, even with the slow run speed. Unless... I mean, in that case, I probably would have been better off just initially turning back and running forward, but there's no way I could have predicted myself losing the normal strat. So now, in this game, you can clip out of bounds here with Yoshi. It's very difficult. You have to do... It's much harder in this version than it is in the Super Nintendo. You have to do what's called the clean clip. But that's very hard to intentionally do. So we're just going to do a little bit of damage boosting to get through these urchins a little faster. And we'll re-grab our flower shortly. And do a bit of a screen scroll here too. The down screen scroll was accidental, but probably just nerves. But we did a screen scroll there to get a couple of these urchins on a better cycle. I cannot find a cycle where I could grab that ice block easily without getting hit, but we'll let that go. Oh my goodness, that stinks. I disagree with that one very much, but oh well. Not a big deal. We'll have to go back and get a cape though, unfortunately. Because we need the cape for the next few levels. The first one's a flyover, and then we have Roy's Castle, which is turning into a fly-through. We're gonna actually... We could go back to Forest of Illusion 1 to grab a cape near the midway tape, but I think we're gonna be better off just getting the sure thing right here, right at the start of the level, even though it's a bit more overworld movement. Missed it. I'm playing on the Japanese version. It's actually... I don't think it's any faster than the US version for any text reasons, or even as in the the Super Nintendo version. The save boxes, the dialogue boxes aren't any smaller, I don't think, so they're not faster. However, the in Donut Plains 1, there are just a couple pipes that just aren't there in the Japanese version. Oh, overshot our pipe there. So we are going to grab our key and head on over to the castle. Now for a while, this fly through the first corridor here that you're about to see was thought to be either very difficult or not possible in this version, just because of how much smaller the aspect ratio is here as far as height goes. But I first figured this out with Luigi. I couldn't do it with Mario for the longest time, but I have figured out Mario. Oh, we did not want a duck fly there. That's what we wanted in the last castle. But anyways, that's a good Roy's Castle. And a good kill for Roy as well. So now we're going on to Chocolate Island. In a few levels, we're actually going to grab Yoshi back to regain that running speed that Mario has. But we're not there just yet. The next takeoff, the next level, it's another flyover, but there's actually a very small window to actually take off without getting hit by this first enemy because of Luigi's slow running speed. So we're gonna hope that we don't lose our cape here, because that could be very not good. I'm actually gonna do a small left-right just to ensure that I don't get hit. You don't have to do that, but it's safer. Especially with the mistakes I've made so far. I'd rather just play it safe. Oh! I tried. Normally I grab that springboard and it brings me right to the... I can continue flying right to the goal line. Oh boy. Now we gotta do this level without a cape. That's not good. I'm gonna grab the mushroom for a little safety here. I got rid of the fire flower anticipating grabbing the cape, but oh well. That's not good either. We're gonna go ahead and grab this mushroom. Not for safety, just so we can grab a cape in the next level. Because there are 2 capes in the next level. And I need 2. I can't deal with just 1. Okay. Come on, Yoshi. Okay, well, we're gonna grab Yoshi in 2 more levels from now then. That was pretty abysmal, but we'll push forward. Now we deal with the slow running speed though, unfortunately. Luckily, in this game, the fishing boo up there is not locked to the screen though. Oh, that was close. And in this game, they gave us a second cape, which I just lost. I do need 2 capes. So we're gonna grab this one and grab another one in an upcoming level. Yeah, it's not going the best. Chocolate Island could be pretty tough. I tried for a fancy strat there at the end of Chocolate Island 1 and it just did not pay off. It's pretty cool when you get it though. So we're gonna grab our Yoshi back here. And hopefully I can show off a pretty neat trick. It's not a glitch. It's something that's programmed into this game intentionally. I don't think it's intended to be used at this particular screen. But we're gonna leave Yoshi behind there. Oops. I was supposed to bounce off that Koopa. And we're gonna grab our backup cape in the next level. Hopefully Yoshi keeps us safe for that. Yeah, well, Yoshi kept us safe, but couldn't keep itself safe, unfortunately. That's kind of a bummer. I would have greatly preferred to have Yoshi. But it's a very minor time save to have Yoshi. Only a few seconds. Grab one of these shells for safety's sake. Let's kill that guy. Because we need to do a bit of a turnaround at the start of this room, and sometimes that that spike top is in a pretty bad spot for doing a turnaround. I flew up a little too high there. I don't have all my audio cues because I'm using a headset, which I don't normally do. Okay, so now for Wendy's castle, probably the hardest castle in the run. So let's try and redeem ourselves. We are going to take damage before the end of this room, intentionally. Where we do that is based on how well we do. And that's the optimal spot. So we want to be big coming into here, because I want us to be able to switch to a cape right there. It's the only way I found to do this room 100%. Oh! Or not. I was a little slow there, I guess. To try and... you try and do a dive bomb into that cycle. Darn. Very tough trick. But we will keep going. Oh no. You could bounce over that platform if you're quick enough. I was not quick enough. Sorry, this is going quite poorly. Let's try and get there a little quicker this time. There we are. Alright, let's defeat Wendy and get this run back on the rails. Alright. Last castle cutscene. We are almost done. We are headed on into the Valley of Bowser, just after this ghost ship. Now, one of the biggest reasons we wanted Yoshi here was for the ghost ship. It just helps a lot having him here. First of all, you get a damage, like a hit point that you can abuse going through some of these boos and boo rings and boo clouds. And then secondly, because Yoshi has Mario's physics, he falls faster through the final room of this level, which is just a free fall, not free for all, through a long corridor. We're actually gonna go to the bottom of the screen here to manipulate these boos. That's fine. We don't particularly need that. We'll play it safe at the boo rings though, because we're small. Normally I would try and swim through the boos here, but I'm not gonna risk another death. Okay, so now you'll see Luigi just falls a lot more slowly than Mario. We're gonna grab a mushroom that's gonna appear over here. A big issue in this game, or a big issue in the Super Nintendo version of this game, is the lag. This game experiences almost none of it, so that's one positive. But we are heading into the Valley of Bowser now. I'm actually going to come back to the ghost ship here just to grab a cape, just so I have one. Because it's just considerably easier with a cape. And if I don't grab one here, it's very difficult to grab one later and very inefficient as well. Okay, so we are going to make our way through this maze. Oops. Which unfortunately is a little slower without Yoshi, but it's still pretty safe. Grab this ice block to bring over the gold tape for a backup cape. And have our little cape parade. Now this level, I'm just It's tough without my vision or my audio cues for my cape pumps, but that seemed to be great. So. Now we have to ease our way through the sandbar. Now, in the SNES version, there's a way to clip through the sandbar and save a cycle. It doesn't quite work in this game, but I have found a way to clip into the sandbar. I have never managed to save a cycle with it, even with Mario, who's got a considerably faster running speed. But maybe one day I'll get it. We'll see. Alright. Out of the sandbar, which is the last pseudo-auto-scroller of the game. I once had a run on PB Paste that died to that little hole there twice. It was rather heartbreaking. So now we're at the second fort on this route. It's much harder than the first. The first was just that water fort that we just swam through idly. Oops. Not going to go through for anything fancy here, just going to try and get out alive. Hopefully with this cape, as I almost lost it. Ow! See, that's strange. Normally the crushers don't crush you, you'll just lose a hit point. But this game has added midway tape to most levels, so we didn't lose all that much progress, we just lost our cape. Yeesh. That fireball did not like me either time I went through there. We're gonna have to take this Reznor a bit slower. Just so we don't die. Sorry, we're gonna be a bit overestimate on this one, unfortunately. I do apologize. I am doing my best. It's a very difficult run. And I guess my nerves aren't treating me all that great today. So just a Bowser fight away from being done. Almost here though. Now for Bowser, we're going to actually save one of these Mecha Koopas from the first phase to throw at Bowser later. Oh, and as you can see, there's almost no vertical space down here at the bottom. Alright, so we're just going to save this Mecha Koopa to try something called Ball Skip. It saves a little bit of time. It saves a few seconds. We're going to grab this mushroom though, certainly, because deaths in Bowser are quite costly. That propeller becomes it doesn't hurt you as long as Bowser's in the process of getting hit. So I time a spin jump through there. Alright, we were able to... It wasn't the best second hit on Phase 2, but it worked. As long as you don't miss. You want to keep one of these Mecha Koopas for the start of Phase 3 as well. That is because if you hit him right at the start of Phase 3, It makes him throw his last 2 Mecha Koopas a lot more quickly. I believe it's the difference between 8 bounces and 5 bounces. So 5 is actually... Oh, I missed that one. Oh boy. Just gonna get this last hit on here. And we win. So that was pretty abysmal. That was Super Mario Advance 2 though. Luigi No Star World. It's a fun little game. I've done quite a bit of routing with it, especially with Luigi. I mean, Mario 2 I did a lot of routing with, but I find the Luigi runs to be a little more challenging and fun, really. It's just the strats are so different, the physics are so different. It just makes for a fun run. Well, that's all for today. Next up, we have Mario and Luigi Partners in Time by, I hope I don't butcher the pronunciation of your name, but Snowion? I hope. But it should make for a good run. It's a few hours of a run, so it'll be a nice, relaxing, and fun watch. So, yeah, we're all set.